Okay. Thank you all for coming. We just wrapped up a fantastic meeting in the room there to talk about the issue of water in Long Island. Water is life in Long Island, and no one understands that better than the governor. Governor Cuomo has directed me and Commissioner Zucker from the Department of Health to come down here and meet with water districts and local officials to understand the threats that they face on a regular basis based on contamination in the water supply. 2016, 2017, we've had an enormously busy year and a half on water issues statewide. That's reflected this year in the governor's proposed budget. The governor's proposed $2 billion for water and wastewater infrastructure funding to begin chipping away at the backlog of projects around the state, and also to get at the critical issue of contamination. We have had in Long Island, we've dealt with PFOA, PFOS contamination at Gabreski Air National Guard Base, and have transitioned folks there to clean sources of drinking water. We are actively and aggressively studying the issue of nitrogen in water and the effects of nitrogen on the environment and human health and the impacts to water supplies. We have a number of studies going on nitrogen right now, island-wide, and looking for ways in which to reduce that and the causes of that. We are looking at the issue of saltwater intrusion and have just launched the most ambitious test and study on saltwater intrusion into Long Island through a USGS DEC study island-wide. And we've been talking quite a bit about the 1,4-dioxane issue recently, based on testing coming out of the US EPA, showing that though at very low levels and certainly below existing standards, there is a prevalence of 1,4-dioxane in the water here, and that demands we take sustained and coordinated action. And Dr. Zucker will detail some of that. Today's announcement deals with what is probably the largest plume of contamination in water in the state of New York, and that's the Grumman plume, also known as the Bethpage plume or the U.S. Navy plume, that really dates back to the age of constructing planes and aircrafts and weapons of war after World War II. The chemicals used during that process impacted a significant portion of the aquifer. It's no secret now that this area suffers from what is a 2-mile wide plume by a 3-mile wide long plume of contamination, mostly TCE. DEC has been involved for many years in this. We've been working collaboratively with our partners at the local level to ensure that the most aggressive remediation system possible is in place. But quite frankly, too many years have passed and not enough dedication has been put on this. So the governor has directed both Dr. Zucker and I to do everything we can to accelerate the remediation of this plume. Today's announcement is as follows. DEC this year will be launching the most aggressive and comprehensive study of the Grumman plume to find out how it can be remediated as quickly as possible. This will involve expenditures out of the state Superfund, which is the law that enables us to track down contamination and spend resources to fix problems and characterize the nature of contamination. This will begin today. We started the contract this morning with the consulting company, and we will be, over the next few months, rolling out both field work and computer data work, lab work, to characterize not only where the plume is, but how it can be most efficiently remediated. We need to stop the plume from reaching any other water districts. That is our single goal, and that is why we're all standing here today, unified behind the concept of holding the companies accountable for their contamination. That's Grumman, and that's the U.S. Navy. And we need both of those entities to fully embrace the concept of containment. So I want to thank, in particular, my fellow commissioner, Dr. Zucker, who's been with me for the last year. We've been side by side on water issues around the state. And I want to thank the governor, who's given us all the resources that we've needed and all the direction we've needed to ensure that the public is protected on this. And we can't do it without, obviously, the legislature. We can't do it without local government and the support of the environmental and public communities. This is all hands pulling in the same direction, and I look forward to the day when we don't need to talk about the Grumman plume because we've effectively contained it and put it into the right spot. So thank you all for coming. I will give Dr. Zucker a chance to say a few things, and then I'll close it out.
Thank you, Basil. Thank you. Today, at the Governor's direction, the Department of Health and the Department of Environmental Conservation convened a roundtable to address the drinking water quality in Nassau County, and particularly the presence of 1,4-dioxane in the drinking water, the federal government's lack of leadership in providing sufficient guidance for dealing with it. Specifically, the EPA has yet to establish an enforceable maximum contaminant level for 1,4-dioxane in the drinking water, even though it has the primary authority to regulate drinking water quality nationwide. This lack of clear direction not only threatens the life of and the health of all New Yorkers, it threatens the health of all Americans right across the nation. So that is why last week and again today, all of us at the table in the next room there jointly are calling upon the EPA to ask for them to set an MCL for 1,4-dioxane. If the EPA fails to act in a timely manner, New York State will convene an advisory panel of experts to set an MCL at the state level. And equally troubling is the federal loophole that exempts public water systems serving less than 10,000 people from testing for unregulated contaminants, of which 1,4-dioxane is one of those. To address this inadequate federal monitoring program, New York State's Water Quality Rapid Response Team, the governor put into place, has moved ahead with an aggressive action plan to ensure sampling of all public water systems on Long Island, no matter their size. And this, however, is just one component of New York's comprehensive effort to protect clean drinking water in the face of the federal government's shifty and contradictory guidance. There are also no requirements out there to test the private wells that serve as many as 4 million New Yorkers across the state. So the executive budget proposes to require the testing of private well drinking water upon the sale of that property and the construction of a new well. In addition, the governor proposes to require landlords to conduct periodic testing of private well water and to notify tenants of the results. And then right here on Long Island, the State Health Department has a new full-scale demonstration project utilizing something called the advanced oxidation process. And the AOP process is a technology that is being tested as a way of removing 1,4-dioxane from the water supply. New York State also recently invested $5 million in the New York State Center for Clean Water Technology here in Stony Brook on the island to leverage innovation and to promote advances in clean water technology. And this work includes the successful development of treatment technologies for 1,4-dioxane. New York has clearly been doing its part to address 1,4-dioxane, and it's time for the EPA to do the same. We welcome an opportunity to hear from everyone about this, and I thank everyone who's up here today. I thank the leadership of the governor, our legislator, as Basil said, and all those in the community and the community leadership to move forward on this. We're going to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zucker. So we'll take questions off to the side, but I really want to thank everyone, certainly recognize all the legislators that are here today for all their leadership, the water districts, the environmental community. Again, this is all of us pulling in the same direction together to fix a significant problem. So thank you all.